So let's turn our attention inward, sort of welcome yourself, welcome your experience. Sort of the sensations within your body. The gentle movement of breath. You don't need to do anything. No, not try to improve your experience. Nothing that you need to figure out. The past is gone. There is no need to dwell on the past. And the future, we'll deal with that later. Simply be without any reference to past or future. Which means you don't need to do anything because you already are. Being is. Peace is effortless. It is not something we work hard to get. It is what we are. Peace is what I am. This simple awareness is peace itself. Lacking nothing, seeking nothing. The reality of your experience, the reality of your perceptions and sensations and thoughts is this simple awareness, this effortless awareness. To which you can find no beginning and no ending, because it is not in time. This simple awareness, the reality which perceives right now, has no location. Because it does not exist in space. You are this awareness. Without any borders. Nothing is excluded. So in the recognition of awareness, it is awareness which recognizes itself. Not as a limited body, not as a female or a male awareness, but as this transparent reality which knows itself as I know that I am. I know that I am is the universe knowing it is. The cosmic reality knows itself as being, as isness. But as nothing in particular, nothing objective. In this passing dream, it is the understanding about understanding, which is the hidden treasure. This reality is one transparent reality, which is your very self. In this moment, the reality which perceives. Everything is I, everything is this reality. There is nothing which stands outside of this reality. Which is love. Love meaning the non-dual reality, not two. And this love manifests itself in the dream, in relationships. An opportunity to express the love, to manifest the love, to celebrate love, to celebrate our oneness. Not two objects loving each other, but the recognition that you are my very self, and that which I love in you and that which you love in me are the same love, the same self, the same reality, the same beingness. Being, loving being. And being never comes and goes. Being cannot not be. It is eternal, and it is love, and love is eternal. Forms may come and go, appear and disappear as mind events. They come and go within that one reality, within the reality of being, without in any way augmenting or diminishing being. Nothing is ever lost or gained. It is normal to experience some form of attachment in the dream. Somehow we associate the love with a form, which is simply a form of celebration, not a real form that is separate from the celebration. The form itself is just a manifestation of the love. And in attaching ourselves to the form that love is taking, it is love that's attaching itself to itself. As an expression of its love for itself. Knowing deeply down within our heart that it is not the form that we love. It is not the form that we're attached to. It is love itself, which is attached to itself. And in fact, it never leaves itself. So its attachment to itself is not a real attachment. Because there is no separation in love. Love is your very being, your essence, your reality. What appears to you in terms of thoughts and perceptions and sensations is nothing else but your very being manifesting itself to itself as thoughts, sensations, and perceptions. So turn your attention to the sensation of borders which you may be experiencing right now, if any. And release and relax these borders. Allow them to flow and to reveal that there are no real borders to your being, to your body, to your mind. No real borders. Allow the love to flow boundlessly throughout your entire experience in this moment. Universal love flowing through your universal body, shining in all directions without any purpose outside of celebrating the joy, the freedom, the beauty, the love. Remain open without any effort. Deep relaxation without any effort. So if you have any questions, anything that you would like to explore, you're welcome to unmute your mic. There's also a little button in the lower part of your screen which says reactions. And you could also raise your hand if the need to raise your hand for any question. So, yes, hello, Carol. You need to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I hear you now. Yes.
Okay. Well, an insight came to me about I had a lot of things on my mind about past experiences in my life for a while that I thought were very, traumatic. The death of my husband, cancer, all these things, and in the course of things in the past year or so, I just had the insight that my essency consciousness none of that can diminish who I am. And it's just a great relief to feel that on a very deep level, that I'm not diminished by anything or permanently harmed by anything that's happened in the past. Just
Yes.
a wonderful feeling, really.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So I just thought I would share that with you.
Yes.
And some of what I hear you talking about really just makes me feel even more so that that's true. Yeah. It really contributes to that deep relaxation in a meditative state to realize that's absolutely true.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then in life, we can live with the understanding and that felt sense, in the meditations. You can sort of live with that understanding and the flavor of the meditation can carry itself, in your life, in your daily life, in your activities, in your thoughts. Because consciousness never leaves us, and we never leave consciousness because we are that. So it's always available to us, shining to us as presence, as awareness. Whenever you turn your attention, anytime during the day or night, to awareness, you will find, yes, awareness is, and that awareness has no borders. It's not Carol's awareness and Magdi's awareness, and it's just awareness. Carol appears as an image, as a memory, as a thought within awareness. Memory of Carol 10 years ago, memory of, not a problem, it's not a problem, it's just an appearance, a thought appearing, okay? But we know ourselves as this transparent presence. So Holger, I'm gonna let you deal with that. Thank you. So we know ourselves as transparent presence. So whatever appears to us, thoughts, memories, sensations, they don't know anything about us. Whatever appears to us does not know us. Whatever appears within awareness does not know awareness. Awareness knows. I perceive the thought, I perceive a memory, I perceive a sensation. But that which I perceive doesn't define me. Nothing that I perceive defines me. I remain as I am, this aware presence, invisible, non-finite. I know that I am, and I don't need to know what I am. I am, meaning amness, is sufficient unto itself. You never find, when you ask the question, am I? You will never find the answer, no, I am not. You will never find that, because the I is awareness. Awareness never is not. Consciousness cannot not be. Never has been or not been. It is eternal. It is not in the realm of that which appears and disappears. Yeah, it's a very liberating. There is no straitjacket in awareness. The only straitjacket is in being somebody. A good somebody, a bad somebody, a sorrowful somebody, successful somebody, failing somebody. That's the straitjacket. The straitjacket is an imaginary straitjacket when it comes to consciousness, when it comes to our reality. Because our reality is not contained in any cocoon. Awareness is not contained in a box, in a brain, it's not contained in a container. You can perceive a container. Right? This is a container. It contains tissue. You can perceive a container, but you cannot perceive consciousness. Consciousness is the reality which perceives. That which perceives cannot be perceived. That which is perceived appears and disappears. But that which perceives neither appears nor disappears. It's very relaxing not to have to be somebody. And the only way to be somebody is via the past or the future. Memory or thoughts about the future. But in presence, it's not possible to be somebody. There is no somebody in presence. In presence is always awareness. It's only in thought that you say, I am this and that. In memory, images, ideas, storylines. But in being, in presence, it's just presence. Only presence.
Thank you, Magdi.
Okay, Carol. That's it. Any questions? Hello, Olga.
Hello, Magdi. First of all, I feel a deep sense of gratitude of being together here. It's I don't know. It's wonderful. It's different than being by myself in my own. What about this idea, this concept of spiritual bypassing? Someone blamed me today. I would just be bypassing or something. Is this just, yeah, you have any ideas?
So the understanding about our true nature includes and our life. You cannot separate your understanding about consciousness and the situations that appear in your life, that arise in your life. The understanding about consciousness, about reality, about I, proves itself, demonstrates itself, expresses itself in your life, in your relationships, in your actions, your perceptions in the world. As your understanding is being lived and you're exploring your understanding about universal being or about consciousness being not limited, being an open space of being, as you're exploring that in your life, there may be old habits and patterns of judging, defending, blaming, avoiding, old patterns that may get triggered in your life, which is okay, but there are opportunities for you to explore how to live these situations from the new perspective, the new understanding about consciousness. Let me see, maybe, okay. Now, the understanding has impact on your life, on your mind, on. It's not a slogan. And after the understanding, there may be a formulation. A mind may formulate a synopsis of the understanding, because the mind has been altered by the understanding. So you may formulate a synopsis like consciousness is real, or there is one reality, or there is no personal self, for example, which actually is a formulation of an experience which does not belong to the mind. Because understanding does not belong to the mind. But the formulation is a mind formulation. There is nothing wrong with that, with the formulation. There is no personal self. A separate me doesn't exist, for example. That's a formulation. But when we use this formulation to be our, in the old days they used to, what do you call it? Yeah, our shield. When we use this formulation to be our shield, then we are not facing our shield in life in certain situations which may be challenging to us. Then we are not exploring the situation that's arising for us. We're not testing our understanding Rather, we are shielding ourselves behind this shield. It says there is no one that consciousness doesn't get hurt. You may be extremely hurt because somebody insulted you, told you are stupid. You may be feeling extremely hurt, but then you use the bypass shield. There is no one that gets hurt. Consciousness doesn't get hurt. But behind the shield, you're hurt. So it's better for you to acknowledge, well, I'm hurt. Okay, I'm hurt. Interesting, I'm hurt, yes. And there may be good reasons for you to be hurt. Because let's say that, you know, your neighbor's dog, you know, always comes into your garden and destroys your rose bushes, you know. It's upsetting because you work so hard on those rose bushes, destroy the rose bushes. But this sort of upsetness has a good reason. So you deal with the reason. You knock on your neighbor's door, you talk about it, and they apologize, and they build a fence, and so that their dog doesn't come into. So it's a solution. So your upsetness was justified. I wouldn't really call it hurt. I'd say that your upsetness is justified, but it has a solution, which may work or not work, because the dog may jump over the fence. Now you have to go knock on the neighbor's door again. But if somebody insults you and you are hurt because you got insulted, in this case, it's different. Because even if you go punch the guy who insulted you, it does not remove the hurt from you. It may even exacerbate the hurt. So it's better for you to explore, you know, the hurt rather than to bypass it. Use the shield of there is no one that gets hurt. What is it that got hurt? In some cases, it's your ego that gets hurt. So what is that ego? What maintains it? If not, I maintain it. It's not like you have somebody branded ego on you, you know, like they brand the cows. No. It's your choice to take that position of the ego. So you need to explore that. And there's a humility in wisdom. There is a humility. And the humility doesn't hide. We don't hide ourselves. We are simple, genuine. There is no spiritual person. There's no spiritual person because there is no person. So there is no spiritual person. There is spiritual ego. This smells very bad. It's not a very good thing to be around people with spiritual ego. They have full of pride, spiritual pride. Understanding about truth is not our personal understanding. It's understanding comes through us. The understanding is not personal, it's a universal understanding. It's a universe that's understanding itself. It's consciousness that is understanding itself through this particular body-mind. Not to make us spiritual. There is everything is spiritual and there is nothing spiritual. I mean, everything is spiritual and nothing is spiritual. So when we are genuine with ourselves above all, and genuine with others, of course, as well. We don't try to cheat ourselves. What's the point to put on spiritual medals onto yourself, spiritual medals? What's the point? It has no significance whatsoever. No. We love truth. We're drawn towards truth. We're drawn towards the exploration of truth. We're drawn towards exploring, truth with on our own and with others. And sometimes we are with somebody and we are speaking a different language. So it's okay, we don't need to continue the conversation. If we are speaking different languages, it's okay. We don't need to. But I've always welcomed, and I continue to welcome criticism, because to sort of sense and notice where are you feeling the sting, that sting. Whenever you're feeling the sting, at least in my experience, is some sort of ego, of experiencing the sting. What is it that gets hurt? When you truly are living from a place of not taking any particular position, it doesn't mean you're a blank state. No, not at all. But you're open. You're open to experience. You're open to whatever arises. Not necessarily say yes. No, some things you're open to. You simply say, oh, no, I'm closing that door. But you're open. Even when you're open to closing the door, you see. But you're open. It's different from coming with a certain position. When you come with a certain position, you're starting with some closed doors. You're starting with condition. Okay, I'm open, but this, that, no, this is okay, that's okay, this one, no, yes, no. That's when you're starting with positions. What for? You have a crystal ball about the next moment. So why take a position? You remain open. And because there is learning, the body mind, or there is intelligence that guides the body mind. Oops, don't walk into that direction. This is muddy. Walk in that direction. It's dry, You're wearing a nice pair of shoes. You spend $120 on it. My goodness, whatever. That would be cheap for a pair of shoes today, So there's intelligence. The worst thing about spiritual bypassing or about spiritual ego is when we don't smell our own stink,
Yeah.
But thank goodness others around you will take you off that pedestal.
Thank you, Magdi. Yes.
Sometimes people say, oh, I got it, all is consciousness. Everything is one reality, including misery. They include misery. They include anger, they include unhappiness, because after all, everything is one. So why should we exclude unhappiness? That's a misunderstanding. And sometimes people get pretty stubborn about these positions. This is a misunderstanding, because happiness has no opposite. Love has no opposite. Now, personal love has an opposite. So I love you, but tomorrow I love your neighbor, or I love somebody else. You know, I love you a lot today, but tomorrow maybe I love you less, you know, because you haven't met my conditions. You don't tolerate my anger. I don't love you anymore. That's not love, because love is not personal. So you want to work with a therapist that is happy. You want to be inspired by somebody who is happy. And not somebody who is happy 3 days of the week, or 4 days of the week, and unhappy three other days of, no. And above all, within yourself, you know, to acknowledge, you know, to yourself when there is some dissonance, to explore that, not to bypass it, to explore it, to take a look at it. Okay, look, what is going on here? You know, what is the issue? What is the matter? And you will always find that there are problems and issues when you're assuming yourself to be a person, when you're assuming yourself to be a limited entity, somebody existing in time and space, when you are assuming yourself to be a personal ego, a personal self. It's always the case. Somehow you are overlooking that you are this aware presence, this transparent, simple, aware presence. And it's not, you're not bypassing anything by turning your attention to awareness. Now, there's a difference between turning your attention towards awareness in order to run away from a certain feeling that you don't like. There is an experiential turning your attention experientially to that which right now perceives, whatever that is, this reality right now. There is I, whatever I is, without defining it, there is a reality which perceives. Transparent is invisible to the eyes, invisible to the senses, but it's undeniable. But awareness is undeniable. We turn our attention towards awareness, meaning awareness turns its attention to itself for no reason. It's not for a purpose. We're not turning our attention towards awareness in order to feel better, in order to solve our problems, in order to get around some feelings we don't like. No, it's not for any purpose. It's just because awareness is real and consciousness is real. It is here right now, transparent, invisible. It is what I is, period. I turns its attention to itself for no personal reason. It's just a simple recognition of what is, the recognition of the reality of being, the reality of consciousness, the reality of awareness. If you are doing it for a certain reason, then take a look at what the reason is. Is the reason a personal reason? Meaning that you're assuming yourself to be a person? You're assuming yourself to be a separate self? Or is the reason just love? That it is, you love truth, you love reality, and reality is not an object that appears and disappears. Reality is the reality which perceives. Reality loves itself, is interested in itself. And I don't know why, but it's okay. I don't need a reason. I don't need to formulate a reason. Because reasons are a dime a dozen. Today is this reason, tomorrow is that reason.
Thank you, Magdi.
Oh, how good.
Thank you. Chris?
Hi, Magdi.
Hello, Chris. Hello.
I just wanted to, on the tail of what you were just talking about, something came up I wanted to share. So when you're saying awareness is aware of itself for no reason, I thought that was beautiful. And then it just dawned on me that in my experience, is that why, if there is a hidden interest to relieve suffering, it doesn't work? Because inherent in that intent is the assumption that I'm separate.
Yes. Yes.
That's beautiful to see, like the mechanism sabotages itself.
Yeah, the intention that you're separate is right there from the onset. And in attempting to reach whatever personal goal you're trying to reach, starting with the assumption that you're a personal self, you're maintaining this assumption, you're feeding this assumption.
Mm.
So it's quite different from turning your attention towards what am I assuming myself to be? If there is a reason, a purpose, on whose behalf is this purpose? Is it on behalf of love itself? Or is it on behalf of something that I need to resolve for my own personal well-being? Then you can explore, well, whose personal well-being? It's always what you're assuming yourself to be, not what you are, because that which you are, you is. That's what you are already. It's consciousness is. It's what you assume yourself to be. What you imagine or feel yourself to be, or would like to be, or aspire to become. You see?
Thank you.
And, yeah.
Yeah, it just saw how that was working for me. Yes. In this experience. I wanted to share it. Thank you.
Yes, okay, sure. Eric, you know, down in the reaction, you have like a reaction button.
Oh, it's under reaction?
Yeah, if you press reaction, I think, yes. You see that?
All I see is a choice that says recognized hand gestures.
Yeah, so then there is a raise hand thing. There is a hand thing like that, isn't there?
Yeah, for some reason it's not showing.
Okay.
All it says is recognize hand gestures. So
okay, well.
I don't know what that means.
Anyways,
anyway, sorry for tuning in late. I didn't think of it until I was napping, and then had a headache, and I woke up, and then I remembered. So this was something that I was pondering last night and lately, and it was kind of like what I tried to ask Francis a couple of weeks ago about it, you know, and I think I've formulated it better now. I thought we could talk about it, and it's basically about the post-awakening sadhana, or what he calls that. And at the time I was talking about working with a therapist with a non-dual understanding about in regards to patterns that come up, these reactions, you know, that you're not aware of, they're still like residues of old patterns, habits, reactions. We're not aware of them until, uh-oh, why did I react that way? Where did that come from? And so the part of the question is, the teachings I've heard say this is an effort, and I've heard Francis say this too, that supposedly this is like an effortless, quote, practice, which doesn't really even sound like a practice. That these things kind of naturally have their own life cycle or come up naturally to be dissolved. But there's kind of, maybe this is just one of those mental paradoxes, but it seems like, I mean, I guess part of the motivation was that, okay, I see this issue, and like you told me about living with a psychologist for years, when you realized this kind of stuff was going on, you just happened to be living with them and it helped. But is there anything one can do? That's the question. And it's like, it seems that the qualities that allow us to see more truth or to open up more, the clarity, one-pointedness, detachment, all of that stuff. It's not something you can just say, okay, it's all going to happen by itself and go wild. It's there is some kind of like ongoing, lifelong practice for anyone, regardless of how many glimpses they've had. It seems, I don't know, this is what I'm kind of pondering.
In the glimpse, you know, into our true nature, the glimpse into truth is very significant in that it gets us sooner or later on the path, but then
it like orients our life in a way, in a new way.
Well,
potentially
it will orient our life down further down the path, but it gets us on the path sooner or later. Somewhere on the path we become interested sooner or later.
Yeah,
it varies from person to person, but we become,
you can't even be interested in something you're not even aware of.
absolutely. The glimpse is what awakens our dormant interest in actually it directs our interest, because our interest in happiness has always been there, but misdirected. But it directs our interest in a new, you know, sort of like you come to a fork, it just gets you on that fork, on what we so often refer to as the path. But we're always on the path. I mean, even when we're on the the path of the individual.
We just don't know it.
That is the path, right? But yes, so there is an understanding that I am consciousness, that I am not what I imagine myself to be, or what I felt myself to be. I am not an entity. I am not the body mind which exists in time and space. But there is still, you know, with the conditioning of being, you know, a person, it still resides, maybe not so much in the mind if we have like a really clear insight, but it resides in our reactions, in our feeling state, in when somebody cuts us off in traffic, when, you know, we apply for a job and they give the job to somebody else who we think is less qualified than us, etc. I mean,
and the odd thing is too, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's like there are times when the peace, I've had experiences where the peace is so great, like I can have 4 cups of espresso and be driving in commuter traffic, and I'm just enjoying the flow and the music and nothing will disturb it, no circumstances. But then at other times, it might, and it's or
Yeah.
some interaction with a person. That's just a
Whenever we are disturbed, whenever you are disturbed, if you take a look, you will find that which is being disturbed is not you, it's Eric. It's not you meaning it's not
it's like a residual sense of something.
Yes, I am a person, something
that's not
only
new.
only a person will get irritated, and that's what a person actually is. A person is a bundle of irritations, reactions, memories, and feelings. That's what a person is. It's just a person that appears at that moment as a reaction. And so, but this appearance, if you try to fix this appearance, then you're giving this appearance a validity. You're giving this appearance validity and reality and truth and power. So to notice
it has to be like kind of held very neutrally, or just seen, or
absolutely, yes,
loved. I don't know what, all these words have connotations.
Yeah. It's not so much what you do, but what you don't do. It's not so much about holding it in presence or something. What you don't do. You don't try to fix it. You don't try to hide it. You don't try to blame somebody else. You don't.
That's a really good,
and
we're so used to just doing things or that there's something to do.
So you will find that your life will have various opportunities. They differ between you and, we all each have our own separate conditionings, but life will present you the right opportunities. You can say challenges if you want, but for you to sort of deal with what happens, not as a person that needs to sort of get things better, not as a person.
So it seems that the answer to my question is clarifying a little, in that it's the so-called what to do is the same as always, which is what we call very loosely meditation. You're not doing something, you're like all those qualities I mentioned.
Yes. Yes, it is. It's more of a
seeing,
being, simply being, just being, or is being. It's sort of being is different from doing, because in doing there is a tendency of becoming. I'm going to improve this, improve that, fix this and fix that. On the psychological level, that doesn't work. Of course, in the practical level, of course, we do a lot of things. We fix our car, we fix a meal. But when it comes to what we're talking about, it is more not doing, or noticing the tendency to do, and this tendency to do is what this personal self is at that moment.
Yeah, and also, and this is kind of a related thing, there's no need really to go after any tendencies or vasanas, as like you do in therapy.
They're gonna come after you.
Yeah, exactly. Don't worry.
Right, don't worry. It's coming.
All right.
Right.
That's good news.
Yeah, right. Right.
Welcome to the club.
Right. Better me than you, right? Or better you than me. Anyways, nice to see you, Eric.
You too.
Yeah. Hello, Roya. You need to unmute yourself. Oh, okay, you did. Okay.
Good afternoon and thank you. Thank you for the most beautiful treasure of presence with you all. And I want to, if it's possible, share something about whatever Eric was talking from Rumi. He says, مرا عهدی است با جانان که جانان جان من باشد. مرا قولی است با شادی که شادی آن من باشد. He says, I had promised the beloved, he be mine. I have signed something with joy or happiness that I am that. So oscillating, whatever, also Francis always talk about that, or Rumi, or you, oscillating or pivoting to who we truly are, possibly is the end of the psychological suffering. Like no person, no nothingness. Working with my clients in psychology, psychotherapy, the general one, the way that is going, not the direct path or the non-dual one, is always about that separate self. But when we question who is this I who has these issues, then the awareness does the job. Yeah, I truly enjoy that, and thank you so much. It's a blessing.
Sure.
You all.
Yes. We already are that which we are. Consciousness already is what it is. It is more about not being something, or being something, meaning there's only one being, which means consciousness is being, universal being. When being something, when being becomes being something, it's a reduction. You're reducing the totality, the glory, the magnificence, of the wholeness of the totality, God's presence, into something or somebody. No matter how this something or somebody is great, the great Pasha, the great Amir, whoever it is, it's still a reduction, because what is, that which is, has no boundaries, no container, nothing can contain it. So when you refer to yourself in any way as somebody, you are reducing God's presence. It's okay to refer to the body as though this body is, 5'8", this body is not feeling good, this body is hungry, this body is a male body, this body is a female body. Okay, who cares? It's like you can refer to the tree. This is an orange tree, this is a maple tree, this is an oak tree, this is a palm tree. That's okay. But when you're referring to yourself as somebody, you have put God in a box. You've put yourself, which is the only self there is, into a limited cocoon. So that's what we do. So like we were talking with Eric, it's more about what you do is you try to defend, you try to justify, you try to blame, you try to ignore. It's more about the not doing. Can we not do? Can we, rather than doing, not do? And I don't mean a blank state, but it's just to sort of be, which you are, sort of be without trying to defend, without being anything or anybody. Because the only way to defend is to be somebody. But when you are just being, just presence, there is nothing to defend. There's nothing to defend. Now, At the same time, it's important to understand, to have the understanding about being. That being refers to presence, the reality right now that perceives, and that I am that. So you don't fall into the trap of using presence as to bypass your emotions. Oh, let me go to presence. Let me go to presence. No. To understand when we say presence, what are we referring to? We're not referring to some place where you can go or something you can do, but to your very being, to that which is, that which you are. It's the transparent, infinite, invisible reality that right now is and perceives and knows that it is.
Grateful. Thank you so much, you all. Love and blessing.
Thank you, Maria. Any questions?
I just wanted to comment that even not doing can be interpreted as a doing.
Yeah.
It's like let's not do.
Right.
It's not something that we're normally trained in, and I think that's why sometimes meditation or self-inquiry is so important, because it's just not in our life at all to just be normally, except by accident.
Yes. So it's important to have an understanding, not just to sort of use not doing or whatever, as a tool, to have an understanding about consciousness, that about
Yeah.
about what I is. It has to go hand in hand. You have to also cultivate, explore, inquire into what I is experientially. Well, both conceptually and experientially. What is the reality right now that perceives, that is? There is a reality to this moment. What is it? Is it your age? Is it your history? Is it your feelings? Is it your plans? Is it the words you are hearing right now? What is the reality right now to your experience? What is it? What is it? What is it that's asking this question? What is it that's right now posing these questions, hearing these questions, exploring this question?
Yeah, that kind of thing. The form of the question changes for me all the time, and that's why I always have to keep, not always have to, but I enjoy it, doing the writing or the meditation or satsangs or whatever. It's always new, it's always fresh, it's always different, some kind of different inquiry, or you're never done.
It's alive. It's not a formula. It is in this moment,
Exactly.
fresh and alive in this moment, and it's not about never getting done, because we're not aiming for any destination where we say, okay, well, now we're done. No, it's just an interest in this moment, whatever the interest is in this moment. We're talking about interest in knowing, in being, in we're interested in truth. We're interested in what is going on truly. What is it that truly is happening right now? Well, there are all these things happening, images, sound, perceptions, but what is the reality? See, so the interest is in understanding about reality, which means understanding about consciousness. And yes, it's always fresh, new. It's not like, if not doing it becomes a formula, then forget about this formula, because any formula is just a formula that's serving somebody for a certain purpose. And who is this somebody? that this great formula is serving and towards what purpose. So it's all mind stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting that, you know, when I said you're never done, and then you said something about it's not about being never done, I realized there's still kind of a little residue of feeling like there's almost like a goal or a, you know, something
For
you're
whom?
aiming towards in the future.
And for whom is this goal?
Yeah, there's no partial, it's all imagination.
So then in this moment, when we see this goal is imagination because it belongs to an imaginary character, that's an understanding. Yeah. It's an understanding, and so we honor this understanding, meaning, wait a minute, you know, this whole thing of goal is BS. Is BS. And it's possible the mind will arise and say, well, okay, well, what are you going to do then without a goal? Right? It's BS.
As a person.
You're right. Well, you know, it's once we see that, because it's always in this moment that a goal is just some fiction because it's for a fiction character, a fictional character.
You know, and I'm sorry.
We can just honor that. Okay.
I mean, I'm just sharing this as an example. It's not some kind of method but for me, and here's where language kind of breaks down, talking about being in the present, but just listening to sounds sometimes, for example, there's just the sound, and that is being, and there's absolutely no entity or goal or anything. It's just like a little segue.
Yes, but you see, just as long as behind the scene, we're not using simply being with the sound or simply listening to the sound in order to experience a certain holy state or a certain ritual state or whatever. As long as behind the scene, because yes, absolutely, it's wonderful. I mean, when you go to a concert and you're listening to music, you're not thinking about your job or thinking about what are you going to cook for dinner. You're completely sort of zone everything out except the sound. Yeah, right. And it's just there is an enjoyment, just a joy in that moment, but it's not for experiencing any personal state. It's just an enjoyment, a joy, a celebration, is love and beauty in that. And yes, you can just zone everything out and just stay with the sound, just to the celebration of that, but not for any other purpose.
Yeah, I guess what I was pointing to was something that's a little different. I mean, than that sort of getting lost in the music, and this is where it's a little ambiguous, because it seems to me that it really is a non-dual state, so-called, or experience, what I'm describing. But it is temporary, so you know, that's what the mind does. It takes some kind of experience and then makes something different about it, or meaningful.
Yeah, you see, experiencing ourself in time, or having an experience of consciousness in time is an illusion is an illusion, because we never experience time. You see, we never experience a beginning and an ending. We're always experiencing the tip of the pen. You know, it's like there is the edge of the razor of the blade. We're not experiencing an unfolding in time. We're always experiencing presence. We're always experiencing being. That's in fact our experience. Now, of course, at the dream level, at the narrative level, at the phenomenal level, there is, this happened, and my sister and my brother and my uncle and they went to this, and that's at the level of creation. At the level of creation, there is something unfolding in time. There's a beginning and an ending to a certain experience, a certain state. There's nothing wrong with experiences and states, as long as we don't define ourselves or seek happiness through a state. States, experiences, events are just part of creation. Is the timeless sort of unfolding as time. But the timeless unfolding as time is like, it's like within a dream. It's like within your dream you experience 10 years. You're traveling for 10 years, but in fact, only 10 minutes, or you just did a siesta of a half hour. So it's in that way, anything that appears to you is just creation, but doesn't reveal anything about the creator outside of the fact that it creates.
Yeah, I understand that, but how to experience it?
How, you
I
see,
mean,
right. There is you can experience things, you can experience events, you can experience feelings, you can experience a variety of things, but that which you are, you don't experience that. You are that. I know you've heard that many times before. I know.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting right to the edge of
because
indescribable, or I don't know.
Right. The experience of being, the experience of presence is not a phenomenal experience. It's not an experience in the body or in the mind. It's not a phenomenal experience that starts and ends like a certain state. It's the reality which right now perceives and hears, right? It's undeniable, right? And that is what I is. I is this transparent, aware presence. And how to experience this transparent, aware presence is in the understanding that this transparent, aware presence is aware of its presence, and it's aware of its awareness. Awareness is aware that it's aware, knows that it is. I am, and I know that I am. But it's not a phenomenal experience, you see. So it's a little tricky.
Yeah. It's, well, one of the things that occurred to me was, how sometimes we'll notice, it's like, because the so-called glimpse or the reality is not in time, we will notice, for example, changes or how things are in our life, and we don't know how it came about. Something so happened. There was maybe a glimpse, or it can never be really held or grabbed onto by the mind, doesn't, or any fashion, but we kind of accumulate this evidence that this is the case.
Yes, I know, but consciousness we don't have any experience of consciousness starting. It's not that via the glimpse suddenly consciousness started. No, a glimpse is
No, I didn't.
yeah, I know
I didn't mean
you know,
to
but
imply that.
I know you didn't imply that, but I feel it's significant to understand that consciousness, irrespective of what the mind is narrating, you know, about this experience or that experience, which are also all experiences have a time element to them. Consciousness does not have a time element to it, meaning it never started, and meaning it has no beginning and no end.
Yeah.
So it's like different levels. You know, at the mind level, we're talking about experiences, personal experiences, phenomenal experiences, this relating to that, glimpse did this, then the mind got affected this way or that way. Yes, that's at that level, at the level of time and manifestation, and at the level
Yeah, I
of
was just addressing like how do we know, you know,
how
other
do we know what?
that what we're talking about is true, other than in either direct experience or indirect experience. What else is there?
Well, you cannot know anything about reality via a partial reality or a non-reality, or via you cannot know the infinite via the finite.
Agreed. Yeah.
So
But I guess I was, you know how Francis talks about we'll always have doubts, but over time the mind gets kind of more aligned or satisfied with this knowledge, so to speak, even though it's can't be grasped. In other words, it's not completely out. It's not like this separate realm, or like, you know, Nico was this totally abstract, unknowable thing. There is an actual living. That's all I'm saying. There's some kind of,
you know,
experience.
the more often you visit God's castle, the more you become familiar with all the various chambers and various rooms that exist in it, you know. So the more often we visit our understanding, or contemplate our understanding, what is it that we understood, the more familiar we become with the is being established as, you know, as the
And the qualities become more part of
yes, absolutely,
living
yes, right,
harmoniousness and
yes,
beauty, and
yes,
if you allow them.
yes, and life is gonna present you situations where you can firm up, you can firm up, you can increase the firmness of your understanding by testing your understanding about universal love, universal peace, about the impersonal response, impersonal
I've
action.
certainly had some of those opportunities lately. And they were beautiful. I mean, they worked out eventually, but
Welcome to the
I'm in
club, right?
school. Yes. We're all in school, I guess.
Yes.
Thank you. That was, sorry for getting so philosophical, but it's just, that's my bent.
No, it's good. It's good. So any questions? Chris, you have a raised hand, but maybe that's an old one, or?
No, it's a new one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry to ask again. I want to make space for everyone to ask. But this is, I'm just so curious. And maybe it's not, I don't know how important this question is, but I'll just put it out there. There seems that in abiding, the peace of abiding has lots of sensations often. And they seem to get subtler, but it's still like it's still a peaceful sensation. And I'm just so curious, like, maybe it doesn't matter whether that's phenomenal or not, but when you said that, I forget exactly what you said, but something about, well, I guess my question is this, like, I'm suspect of the phenomenal, I'm suspect of my sensations a little bit, in a good way, I think, you know. I'm not relying on them, I'm not chasing them, but when I feel this sense of peace, it's lovely, and I'm kind of going, wait, is that phenomenal? Is that, and you know, maybe this isn't something I need to have answered. I'm just really curious, like, then what is that?
The sense of peace arises in the peace. It arises from the peace, as you know, a wave arises out of the ocean. The sense of peace is made out of peace. Yes, it is a sense, a sensation, you could say, even, but it's not really like a sensation in. Is something more. It's not completely phenomenal, okay. And if that sense of peace is not grabbed by the mind to say, oh, that's it, that's what I want, that's what I need, that's what am I doing, oh my God, I got it, or I didn't get it, I hope I don't lose it, then that sense of peace is peace itself. But when it's accompanied with a personal aspect, then yes, then you could say it is more of the ignorance, because now the sense of peace is just some object for me to seek and attain and honor and reproduce.
So in that way, Magdi, would you say it seems like it's self-correcting? You know, like when I personalize it, it may last a little while, but eventually it doesn't work you know,
yeah. No,
it changes.
as soon as you personalize it, you've spoiled it.
Yeah.
Sense of peace.
Does that change over time for you? Does that become less sensational?
Yes, because you realize that it may take a few iterations, that you are spoiling the party, you know, by introducing, by personalizing peace, or the sense of peace, or an experience of peace, that you're in fact going in the opposite way. You are moving in the opposite direction of peace itself. And of course, you know, to understand that and to see that and to experience that. Okay, now here I am. I hope I get that experience of peace that I had yesterday. They say that's unhappy. Right there, it's unhappy. You need to understand that's unhappy right now. That I'm desiring. I'm in the state of desire. You know, and desire is seeking desirelessness. It's not a steady state. It's a state of imbalance. Desire, the desiring state. So yes, there is an understanding. There's understanding about desire, about even spiritual desire, you know, which is different from love, because love for God is not a spiritual desire. It's a love of God. You know, maybe we can start with spiritual desire, and soon in time we realize, no, it's not about spiritual desire. You cannot desire God. You can only love God and honor God and acknowledge God and recognize God. So yeah, there is understanding about desire, about the sense of lack, and about seeking, and the understanding about desirelessness, the peacefulness of desirelessness, the peace of desirelessness, and that the well-being is a desireless state. So yes, it's via our understanding that the old tendencies that we have diminish in their power, and the recurrence diminishes.
And when you're saying understanding, I just want to reiterate it because I'm having this intuition, but I want to make it more clear. I think my mind, because I love playing with my mind. Sometimes my mind thinks you're talking about it. And when you say understanding, you said it before that the actual understanding is not in the mind. Even if my mind seems to help me get there, the actual moment of understanding.
Yes.
Because I think sometimes I still fall into the trap that it's mind made and I can get there by figuring it out.
Mm. Yeah, you can use your mind and apply your mind and use your mind for explorations, for questioning, inquiries about a variety of topics about truth, about consciousness. And so the mind is available to you as a tool. So yes, you can use your mind, and I don't think you should make him an enemy out of your mind. But the mind is not you. The mind is your tool. It's at your service. You can apply, turn your attention and explore, inquire, investigate. Like Francis says, conduct various experiments about consciousness being personal and limited. What proof do you have? So you can use the mind, but at the moment of understanding, the mind collapses. It's fulfilled its function. It collapses in the understanding. It is no longer. It's not present in understanding. And post-understanding, it arises slightly different. The mind pre-understanding and post-understanding, it's not the same mind. It's not the same figurine. It's something that has changed as a result of the understanding. So when you say I can use my mind, it's okay. You can use your mind. You being consciousness, you can use the mind, but it's not the mind that's going to understand, and it's going to whisper to you what it understood. It is you that understands. When you speak with somebody and they say something, you don't tell them, my mind understands you. Give me a second, my mind is going to whisper to me and I will understand you in a second. No, you say, I understand, right? Because it's true. It is I that understands. Always I consciousness, I awareness. It's only one I. It's not, there is a body, of course, but the body is not I. I is that, which is aware that it's aware, knows that it is. Whatever that is, we call it I. So it is, understanding belongs to I. To whatever it is that is not phenomenal. It's not a body-mind. Body-mind exists in time, yes. But I, which understands, does not exist in time and space. It is. So don't worry about using your mind for understanding. Use your mind in any way you want. Actually, use it. Investigate, read, question. Right now, here in satsang, you use your mind to investigate, to listen to. But be clear that it is about understanding. It's not about having a beautiful mind. There's nothing wrong with a beautiful mind, but this is not what these meetings are about. They're about understanding. And so we have no issue with the mind, but we know the place of the mind and the place of understanding.
Thank you.
Okay, Chris. Yes. Okay, well, thank you all. Very, very lovely to be with you all. Thank you, Holger and Frank. Hi, Frank, and Roya, and Chris, Eric, Mark. Hey, Mark. Holly, Lisa. Hello, Lisa. Ishai. Salut, Shiva. Hi, Trish. David. Hello, Rochelle. Dee. Hello, Dee. Hi, John. And my sweet Tarak. Thank you all. Lovely to be with you all.